All right, so imagine this for a second, okay? You're just scrolling on your phone, right? Maybe checking out, I don't know, some new meme or whatever's trending, but what if I told you that none of that would even be possible without mining?
Yeah, it's true. It's like we kind of forget, like all the tech stuff we're glued to, our
Mhm.
phones, laptops, even the stuff our houses are built with. It all starts with mining, right?
Totally. It's like we take it for granted or something. We see the final product, the shiny new gadget, but who's thinking about where all those raw materials come from? Or the people who actually get them out of the ground?
Yeah, exactly. And that's actually why we're going to dig into this job today. It's super important to like modern mining, but most people probably don't even think about it. We're
Cool.
talking about mine surveying technicians.
And from the stuff I read in those RoleCatcher articles, it sounds like these aren't the, pickaxe and hard hat miners we picture in our heads. These guys are like, what, tech wizards or something?
You got it. We're talking lasers, GPS, even drones sometimes. Super high-tech tools to get crazy precise measurements all underground.
Okay, now you've got me interested. Lasers and drones underground. What are they even measuring down there?
Well, the main thing is they're creating this crazy detailed 3D map of the entire mine. Imagine like trying to walk through a maze in the dark. That's what it'd be like for the miners without these surveys.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. So it's about safety then.
Oh, for sure. Safety is huge. They're mapping everything out, making sure the mining stays where it's supposed to, legally, and also finding any potential dangers like, oh, I don't know, unstable rock formations, that kind of thing. But it's also about being efficient, right? If you know the lay of the land, you can figure out the best way to get those resources out.
So are they kind of like the, I don't know, architects of the mining world, making sure everything is where it should be? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. They're basically using all this data to make big decisions, decisions that impact, well, everything, from how safe it is to how productive the whole mining operation is.
Wow, that's way more responsibility than I would have thought about.
And speaking of the whole data thing, this RoleCatcher guide was saying something about how this career path is actually growing a lot. Is that because of all this crazy tech they use?
Definitely a huge factor. Mining's only getting more complex, right? More tech driven. So the need for skilled mine surveying technicians is through the roof, especially ones who can not only use the tech, but actually make sense of the data too.
Okay, so what you're saying is this isn't just a job, it's a legit career path with some serious potential then.
100%. If someone's really into tech and loves a good challenge, this could be a super rewarding path for them.
Okay, I'm starting to get why people would be into this then.
Yeah.
But this RoleCatcher guide also mentioned total stations, and I gotta ask, what even are those?
So picture this. You've got this super high-tech protractor thing, right? But it's like laser powered. And then you combine that with like a telescope and a computer all in one. That's basically a total station. They use them to measure angles and distances and elevations with crazy accuracy. So like the Swiss Army knife of surveying tools, basically.
You got it. And all that data they get from those total stations, plus the GPS and laser scanners, that all gets put into this super advanced software. That's how they create those 3D models we talked about. It's pretty wild when you really think about it. Like they're building a whole virtual world inside a computer.
Whoa, next level stuff. So, a mine surveying technician needs to be good at tech and math, but what about the actual work environment? The guide made it sound kind of rough.
Yeah, it's not all lasers and computers, that's for sure. It's definitely physically demanding, and you're usually outside in whatever weather Mother Nature throws at you. Sometimes you're in really remote, challenging locations too.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was thinking. So, not just like, oh, a little rain here or there. We're talking intense conditions. What kind of person does while thrives, in that kind of setting?
Well, you need someone, first of all, who's adaptable,
Yeah.
resilient, not afraid of a challenge. You got to like being outside, obviously, and getting their
Mhm.
hands dirty a little bit. And you got to be able to handle the unexpected because trust me, when it comes to mining, there are always unexpected challenges, right?
I bet. Sounds like it takes a certain kind of person. But okay, let's say someone's listening. They're like, all right, this is me. This is my thing. What can they expect, if they really go for it? The Role Catcher Guide had some interesting questions that a mine surveying technician would get in a job interview. Want to go over those?
Yeah, let's do it. There was one that really stood out to me. It was, how do you ensure the accuracy of your surveying data? It seems kind of simple, maybe, but it's a way for them to see if you really get it. Like how crucial precision is to this whole job.
So it's not just pointing the laser and calling it a day.
Nope, not at all. It's understanding how things can go wrong. Knowing how to calibrate your equipment, maintain it, having systems in place so you're double-checking everything, because one tiny error could turn into something huge later on.
Makes sense. I mean, people's lives are literally on the line, right? So
No.
attention to detail, being super meticulous, like really committed to getting it right. What other questions do they ask?
Okay, this one was interesting. It said, have you ever run into a problem, like an obstacle while you were doing a mine survey? And how did you fix it? They want to hear about your problem-solving skills, but in action.
Ah, yeah. See, they're not messing around because mining, that environment, I imagine it's full of surprises. You can't predict everything.
Right. They're looking for someone who doesn't freak out when things get tough.
Yeah.
Someone who can adapt, come up with creative solutions on the spot. All while still putting safety first, of course.
Right, of course. Okay, so attention to detail, problem solving. What about staying up to date with the latest tech? I feel like that's got to be huge in this line of work.
It's essential. This field is constantly changing. There's always some new technology popping up. So RoleCatcher had this in their interview prep. The question is, how do you stay up to date with all the latest technology, the techniques in mine surveying?
Which is a smart question because it tells you if someone's actually passionate about this, right? It's not just a 9 to 5 for them.
That's it. They want to see that you're actually seeking out that new knowledge, whether it's going to conferences, taking online courses, even just reading articles, whatever. It's showing you're adaptable and want to be ahead of the game.
So not just do you have the skills now, but are you going to have the skills in the future? I like that. Shows initiative. Speaking of the future, what does that look like for a mine surveying technician? We've been talking entry level, but where can you go from there?
Okay, so picture this. You start out, you're the junior technician, right? You're shadowing the more experienced surveyors, learning the ropes, getting comfortable with all the tech. But then, as you do that, get more experience, more confident. Maybe you're conducting surveys on your own. You're running more complex equipment, maybe even mentoring the newer guys.
Okay, so a real apprentice to master situation, then what?
All right, so you've got enough experience under your belt. You could become, I don't know, a senior mine surveying technician, right? Leading your own team now, overseeing these big, complex projects. You might even move into like a management role where you're developing the whole surveying strategy for the entire mining operation, dealing with budgets, working with other departments.
Wow, so you go from mapping tunnels to mapping the strategy for the whole mine. That's wild. We've talked about the technical stuff, but what about just, I don't know, the human element of all this? Like, what are the pros and cons? The good, the bad, the ugly?
Totally. Well, good news first, right? The earning potential is awesome. You're talking highly skilled, in demand, so the pay reflects that. Plus, because these mining operations are often kind of in the middle of nowhere, there's a chance for travel, maybe a little adventure if you're into that. And like we were saying, the job security is really good. They're only going to need more mine surveying technicians, not less.
Okay, good pay, potential to travel, job security. That's a pretty good list so far. But there's got to be another side. Challenges, downsides.
Of course, the work, well, it can be physically demanding and, let's be real, sometimes dangerous. You're outside a lot, tough weather, long hours that can be unpredictable, and sometimes you're away from home for a while.
Yeah, not your average 9 to 5 office gig. But I guess that's part of what would draw someone to it, right? The adventure, the challenge, knowing you're making a difference out there in the real world.
Exactly. You got to be a certain kind of person, someone who's driven, resilient, who's really passionate about what they're doing. It's not for everyone, but if it's for you, it can be really, really fulfilling.
I can definitely see that. It's bigger than just a paycheck. It's like you're part of something. And speaking of being part of something, what about the whole networking side? RoleCatcher mentioned that's pretty crucial for mine surveying technicians.
Oh, it's huge. It's a specialized field, right? So building up a good professional network is really important. The good news is there are tons of ways to do that.
Like what, for example?
Well, you could join a professional organization. Like there's the International Mine Surveying Association, IMSA. That's a great way to meet other people in the field, stay updated on any industry trends, maybe even get some training opportunities. Oh, and there are like online forums and groups too. Good for connecting with people, asking questions, sharing what you know.
So it's like finding your people, the ones who get it, who speak the same language, all that.
Exactly. And don't underestimate conferences and industry events either. Those are gold mines. You can meet potential employers, see all the coolest new technologies, just totally immerse yourself in the world of mine surveying.
Like a crash course in all things mining. You're networking, learning, maybe even find your next gig all in one place.
Exactly. And it's not just about what you can get out of it, but what you can give too. Sharing what you know can be really rewarding.
A two-way street. You're learning, but also giving back to the whole field. Makes sense. But for people who are maybe a little more, on the shy side, introverted, any advice for how to approach networking without it being so, I don't know, scary?
For sure. Look, networking isn't about being the loudest one in the room or trying to collect a million business cards. It's about building real relationships. So start by thinking about your interests. Like, what about mind surveying really excites you? Any particular technologies or techniques you want to learn more about? Once you know what those are, you can start looking for the people and groups who are into the same things.
Find your niche, basically, then connect with people who get it. That does sound a lot less intimidating than just everyone.
Right. And honestly, even the small conversations can be valuable. Don't be afraid to chat with whoever's sitting next to you at that conference, or send a message to someone on LinkedIn whose work you like. You never know.
Great advice. Okay, so we've covered a lot. Technical skills, challenges, the rewards, networking. But I do want to circle back to the tech stuff for a minute. It's obviously changing the world of mining super fast. But for the mine surveying technicians specifically, what do you think? Are robots going to take over their jobs eventually?
That's the million-dollar question,
Yeah.
right? And it's a good one. So yeah, automation is going to keep changing mining. That's happening. But I honestly don't think robots are ever going to fully replace those skilled human technicians. In fact, I think it'll be the opposite.
Oh, really?
How so?
Here's the thing. Even with all the fancy AI and robots in the world, you still need people to design them, to program them, to maintain them, and to actually make sense of all the data they spit out, right?
So it's not humans versus robots. It's humans and robots working together. Exactly. And that's where the real magic happens. As technology gets better at doing the more routine stuff, the mine surveying technicians of the future, they'll have more time to focus on things that humans are good at. Critical thinking, solving problems, creativity, collaborating with each other.
It's like we're using tech to make ourselves better, not obsolete.
Exactly. And that's why I'm optimistic about the future of this field. They're going to need more and more of these highly skilled technicians who can bridge that gap between technology and good old-fashioned human ingenuity.
That is reassuring. Okay, so someone's listening and they're like, this is it. This is the career for me. What's the one piece of advice you'd give them?
I'd say go for it.
Huh?
It's challenging, sure, but so rewarding. Don't be scared to reach out to people already doing it. Ask questions, learn as much as you can. The more you put in, the more opportunities you're going to find.
It really is. Okay, so we've gone deep, man, from lasers and drones to the human skills that'll be even more important as tech takes over. But before we totally wrap this up, can we loop back to RoleCatcher for a sec? They're obviously super helpful for anyone who's thinking about, becoming a mine surveying technician, but what really stood out to you about their approach to all this?
It's funny. What really struck me is they're not just like, here's a job board, go find something.
Hmm.
It's more like they want to help people find actual careers, fulfilling ones that aren't going to disappear next year. And the way they do it, it's all about your strengths, what you're passionate about, and how that all fits into where the job market's going.
Yeah, it's like they're giving you the whole roadmap, not just directions from point A to B.
100%. And with a field like this that's constantly changing, always something new to learn, that kind of guidance is huge. They're helping you build the skills you need, yeah, to get hired today, but also to actually do well and grow in your career 5, 10, 20 years from now.
It's that whole career coach thing we were talking about before, but it's in your pocket. Someone who's always got your back, giving you advice, a little push in the right direction when you need it.
Totally. Honestly. I think we could all use that a little bit no matter what we do. The world's changing so fast, having the right tools, the right resources to navigate it all, achieve what we're capable of, that's important stuff.
Absolutely. Okay, so we're wrapping up this deep dive. What's the one thing you really hope our listeners take away from all this?
I'd say don't ever underestimate the power of being curious,
Mm-hmm.
and being willing to learn new things. The way we work is changing like crazy, but if you're someone who's committed to learning throughout your career, staying adaptable, never stopping exploring those new possibilities, you're always going to be in demand.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So to everyone listening, whether you're drawn to the precision of mine surveying or something else entirely that you're passionate about, just remember your career, it's an adventure, it's out there waiting for you. Until next time, keep asking those questions, keep diving deep, and most importantly, keep learning.